Hi everyone, welcome back to the Amplifying Girls Voices YouTube channel. And today we have a very interesting topic where we're exploring a problem within our city as Bulawayo. And because we want to be at the forefront, we want to lead a revolution of change, we thought it would be important to have this discussion and this conversation for a better society. And with me today, I have two lovely people that are going to help us dissect this topic and get the best results possible. And to my right, I am joined by my personal favorite friend. We've been friends for 6 years, renowned debater, last year's junior vice president of the Republic of Zimbabwe. Please introduce yourself, sir.
Hi everyone, my name is Menzi.
And to my left, I'm joined by the gorgeous queen. You know, my sister in everything, all things fun and amplifying. Please introduce yourself.
Sanbonan Izalam Musisa.
Yes, ma'am. So today we're talking about something that has been in the newspapers a lot, basically, throughout this whole time, and that is the rise in bullying and gang violence. And if you've been tuned, you know what's been happening in Bulawayo, right? Like,
definitely.
Really, yeah, you definitely know. And to just start this all off, I just wanted to get, your understandings of what bullying is, maybe,
I think bullying is not necessarily what most people think it is. Mm-hmm. It's not a monolith and it's not one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. Firstly, bullying is like any form of aggression towards another individual. Mm-hmm. And it normally has a sense of power play to it, right? There's power dynamics. One person has more power than the other, but it's not just a physical act in its essence. Mm-hmm. Bullying can be felt either, it can be emotional bullying, it can be social, and it takes place in so many facets in different parts of society. Mm-hmm. But I think, yes, to be fair, it is most prominent in high schools and amongst teenagers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bullying it's more effective in high school, because many times at high school that's where people like rebel a lot. It's they do many things to show how cool I am. Mm-hmm. To join that other squad, they bully you into it. Not necessarily that they tell you to do this, but you just see the way they want you to do things. This is what I need to do in order for me not to be bullied.
Mm-hmm. So what's very interesting about both of your definitions is that you were able to, just bring out how bullying is in general. Maybe there's a viewer out there who really doesn't understand that they're being bullied and you are being bullied. And one thing I picked out from that is that there's a lot of forms of bullying. So when we think bullying, we just think about like Billy the bully who throw you into a bin or something like that. But no, there's things like emotional bullying, there's things like social bullying and things like that. So please be aware of what type of bullying exists in your society, and maybe that affects you or a peer or a friend. But moving on from that, I want us to explore our experiences with bullying. So I think, speaking for myself, I was in high school. I finished last year, and my experiences with bullying were just like, it was just like a normal thing. You always know, there's the Form 1s that get picked on. There's, the gang fights between different schools. Of course, I'm not going to mention which school I come from, but I'm supposing if you actually do know me on a personal level, you know where I come from. So you'd have scenarios where there is a lot of violence within the student body, especially amongst our peers, the teenagers and everything like that. And like, what's sad is that it feels like those people have nowhere to go because it's been so normalized. So what experiences have you guys had, wherever you've been, whether in school, in your community? What forms of bullying have you seen? What have you seen happening in these scenarios?
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I think most people within society will tell you that they've never experienced bullying, mm-hmm. or have never seen it. And it shows you just how normalized bullying is within our societies. Mm-hmm. Because almost at every school, you have a bully, you have someone who's going through bullying. Mm-hmm. But because of how normal it is, people start to think that it's just how schools are supposed to be, mm-hmm. and it's the normal thing. And if I go back to high school experiences, you'll find that majority of instances, you either have these seniors who constantly go back to the Form 1s, mm-hmm. and they'll bully them, either they take away their money or things of the sort. But even in your own specific classroom, children go through so much emotionally. You're either completely an outcast, removed from any social conversations. That in itself is also a form of bullying. Mm-hmm. And in the worst of cases, cases, you have children who actually get beaten up within their education institutions because of how bad the problem is. But all of that is so extremely normalized that people think bullying isn't even a real problem.
Yeah, well, Mina, from where I come from, bullying is such a normal thing. It's normal. Because I remember during my high school days, there was like this guy at school. He was this short and they were like this tall guys. They used to like take his money. If he does not have the money, he cannot come to school. Eventually he dropped off esikoleni, wagcina ngasabuyi totally. Then there was this other one whom they bullied for being tall. He ended up not coming. He did not write Form 4. The other one, actually, he wrote Form 4 earlier. Like, he registered for the, the June exams instead of the November ones because they were bullying him. And the teachers did nothing about it. Actually, they used to laugh about it, like, you are so tall, you, like they used to laugh about that. But what I noticed is that it affected him emotionally, but then the teachers encouraging that, it does not help the situation at all. So that's why I think this bullying thing needs to be addressed even amongst the teachers themselves.
Like when you guys were just talking about your experiences with different people that were being bullied, I just thought about the scenario where we think bullies are like our peers, but do you actually realize that there's teachers who are bullies? There's that aggressive beating that's not normal or seen as proper within the school setup. There's that emotional damage. There's teachers who literally come to you and start telling you, your family is like this or this and this. Those are inappropriate things to say to a child, even calling you a dunderhead, things like that. I think we normalize it, but those are all forms of bullying. And maybe our teachers actually bullies?
I think at the foundation of bullying in itself, actually, the biggest problem are the teachers themselves. Because school institutions will never have bullying happening if it doesn't start from the top. So the first problem is students see teachers do it and they think about it as something that's perfectly normal. I can call you dumb, I can call you stupid because the teachers do it. So that same teacher isn't going to tell me not to do it if they're also doing it anyway. So you normalize it from the top going down. So I think the biggest problem actually, or the biggest bullies in most education institutions happen to be teachers. Of course, not all teachers. We have really good teachers out there. But there's those who take up the power that they're given within education institutions, and instead of using it in the proper way to actually teach children how to behave, they tend to become bullies themselves.
Yeah, I think our teachers are the biggest bullies we have out there. There was this one teacher at our school. She was like rich money and stuff, we get that. But when this other kid, why am I like leaning on it? She was like, if izipha yakho esecheli yakho kunguchams okudabukileyo, scratches my car, bona ngani indlu yangina ngaqedwanga izayithenga imoto yami izathenga paint. Like I was like, this ma'am, how rude can you be? Like you see umntwana vele she is disadvantaged lapha vela khona. It's like their family is not well off njengawe, but you still say that you ambona the way ayiyo yona. Like that thing in share, it affects abantwana. You go on thinking about it. I don't think ukuthi sekhohliwe what that ma'am said. Or if a teacher engangena class and be like, sister ngiyakubona wena uligiant umude uyini, that's bullying. Like efike ikhanda lakho it's four shaped whatever, the other kids laugh about it. Bengakhuluma the other kids ngiyareporta kubani when you the teacher the one who said it. Yeah, it's very bad actually.
Wow, okay, so this is actually a very hard and emotional topic because these are the lived experiences of young people within the school setup. When the people we expect to help us actually turn into the biggest perpetrators, then I think our battle is way bigger than it actually seems. But beyond that, let's talk about the reaction nature. So I want us to explore the reaction nature of people being bullied, the reaction nature of society, and also I want us to explore bullies themselves. I think we have this idea that bullies are just bad people, but what if they're just people in our society calling out for help? And so what is the general, let's just start from the top, what is the general reaction of people being bullied from your own experience?
Well, people who are being bullied, they don't become okay. Of course, if you say something that affects me emotionally, I'll never be okay from that. They start shying out from the community, then they lose self-esteem, confidence. I cannot stand in front of you and talk because when you have bullied me before, you have said something about me. How can I stand in front of the whole assembly and say something? Because that teacher used to laugh at me. What if she does? That thing on its own that affects the person, I don't think they become okay after all of that.
You know, I think one really interesting thing about bullies themselves and people who are victims of bullying is that you'll find that most people who end up as bullies are actually people who have been bullied before. So as a reaction to being bullied, people feel that they lack the power to protect themselves. And the only way that they can assert that is by bullying other people and feeling that they're powerful. So in most instances, it's actually a perpetual cycle of someone being bullied, turning into a bully, and then rinse and repeat with the next person. But I think further than that, there's so many mental health problems that come after someone is bullied. Because as I mentioned, it's not just a physical assault on someone. The type of aggression that these people go through is also emotional and can be social as well. So majority of people who get bullied oftentimes cannot go back into society. They have a really hard time making friends. They find it so hard to even talk to other people because they feel like they've been belittled and they're not worthy of doing that. And more importantly, sometimes they even have mental health issues, right? Whereas these people sometimes suffer from depression and anxiety.
Interesting that you'd talk about, mental health issues, and you talked about depression and anxiety, but these are, far-reaching. It just doesn't end at depression. There's things like suicides actually rising from things like, the mental distress that young people are going through, and that's very emotional. Those are young lives that we're talking about. And to just go further, I think we should talk about, explore bullies themselves. Are these just normal people in our society crying out for help? Are they just generally evil to begin with? Or, what is your take on that?
Well, Mina, some of the bullies that I've seen, it's either, as he said, they themselves were bullied, then they are now bullying others. But then there's some bullies who come from broken homes, that you find out that at home, the father maybe beats the mother or something about the home. It's a dysfunctional home. Some places, the bullies themselves live in a home where there is a shabin. He only or she only sees violence, because there was this other girl at our school. She was violent. Then when the teachers called in her parents, they found out that the mother is the shabin queen, and she herself came to school drunk. What do you expect the kid to do when coming from such a home? The teachers just saw the problem is not with the kid, it's with the family where she comes from.
I totally agree, because I don't think anyone is born evil. And I don't think that the stereotype that we get of bullies in movies who are just bad people who want to beat up other people is true at all. I think there's foundational problems that create bullying in the first place. So as I already said, firstly, it's either someone is a victim of bullying, or there is a background that they come from which is very unstable. And normally when people become bullies, it's because of two major reasons. Firstly, it's because these people either have really low self-esteem and have that terrible background, so they need to find a way to assert themselves amongst other people. They need to feel popular, need to feel loved. And the only way they think they can do that is by bullying and beating up on other people, which gains them that kind of popularity. Or alternatively, it's because these people feel like for far too long they have lacked power in their lives, right? And some of them want to hold on to it, whatever means necessary. And when you go back to education systems, you'll find that the most popular people are people who are bullies, because either everyone is scared of them and everyone respects them. And that's the kind of thing that they want. That's the kind of security that they want, so that they don't feel vulnerable anymore. So most people actually turn into bullies are people who have been through primarily really bad things, and society has failed them at large.
So basically, if you're a bully and you're watching this, or maybe you know a friend, or a certain bully, those are just people really calling out to society for help. There's a lot bothering them, and if we don't try get to the root cause, I think we'll always have, people we term evil, but genuinely deep down there's a heart down there. There's an individual that is caring and loving and understanding.
Yeah.
And I think it's our job as society to uncover it. But talking about society, one of the main things I wanted us to talk about is society's reaction. Like I mentioned, I finished high school last year, and one of my experiences with our society is that you'd find a scenario where kids are fighting in the street, whether they're from different schools or from the same school, or some guys come and they tell a Form 1, give us all your money. They take his bag, his books, his money, anything really, and you'd have an adult just walk by. Like, my question was, why would you do that? That becomes very controversial because it's the same adults that will stand and say it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
If you are raising us and you see that we are in a predicament, maybe a bad predicament, if something wrong is happening to us, something bad is happening to us, aren't you supposed to be the first person to try and help? But I found a scenario where a Form 1 student from my school was being beaten up by this gang of guys from another school, and I was the one who went there and I was trying to protect him, to pull him out. And of course they threatened me. Yeah, I'm not immune at all. And there's literally a 30-something-year-old man passing by. And it feels sad to think that maybe our society really doesn't care about anyone else. Or have we become that selfish that things affecting the rest of society don't really affect us? It's all about me. If I'm safe, I don't care what happens to the next person. So what is society's reaction? What do you think society's reaction to bullying and gang violence is at this point?
I think as a society, we're really good at virtue signaling that we care about bullying.
Mm-hmm.
That is to say, we'll oftentimes present ourselves as people who care.
Mm-hmm.
We'll write about it in articles, we'll talk about it when we need to. But when it comes right down to when people are bullied, we do very little to intervene or to even help them at all.
Definitely.
It's why, as you explained, you'll find that when kids are fighting,
Mm-hmm.
adults will just walk past like it's something that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
When it's happening at school again, teachers just watch it like it's something that's normal.
Yeah.
So because we've normalized it to that extent as a society, so much so that we seem like we don't care at all, I don't think that the reaction that we have as a society is something that helps at all in the problem that we have in bullying.
Mm-hmm.
We aren't doing much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the society is actually condoning this bullying thing, because there was this other time this kid was being beaten, and there was this other, it was a boy and a girl. Then the girl was like overpowering the boy. Then this woman said, when I'm like these girls were like 5, the guy was 1. Yet when I guess they don't care. They only care if it's their family being bullied or being beaten or whatever. They actually don't care about another woman's child.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay if they beat him weak. They call you weak. Why couldn't you stand up for yourself when they were doing this, that to you?
Mm-hmm.
Why they always blame the victim?
Mm-hmm.
In most cases, the society on its own, it doesn't help us in any way.
Mm-hmm.
They only just look at us and be like, you could have done something after the fight.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, sorry mtanami, you do this. They always say that,
Mm-hmm.
but Yena, she was standing there. They stand and look. They don't do anything. Yet they themselves are the ones who always say, hey, bantwana lingabolwa. If you see someone else's child being beaten, do this, but they themselves, they don't do anything. They only say that in those community meetings. There are no actions.
Yeah. All right. So, but what I'm getting is, of course, the whole argument on how parents are not really standing up for children out there when they're being bullied is coming into play. But remember, society is not just the adults. It's us as well. We tend to ignore bullying ourselves. You know, there's prefects at a school, yet there's kids that are being bullied. People are fighting after school, some are getting stabbed and things like that. Yet there's prefects' bodies, there's other students as well. And the funny thing is that you find students literally by the sidelines, you know, cheering someone on in the midst of such an event. And that's, you know, definitely wrong. But just to move on from that, in conclusion of our podcast today, can we explore the solutions for both the bullied and the bullies?
What I think can be done for the bullies, you can just approach the person privately, of course. Find out the root cause of all of this. Then from there, you can like try and help the person. And as for the one who was being bullied, you can like try and talk to her or him, emotionally go through this thing with him or her, for her to gain the confidence that she once had, or for him to gain the confidence back. Because it's such a journey for you to be bullied, and then you have to like go through all of that phase, process it all, then get back to normal again. It's such a big process, a huge process. You need someone to walk the journey with you. So if we as the kids, as the parents, or as whoever you want to help, your friend or whatever, be there for them emotionally. They will need you.
You know, I think we need a holistic approach to bullying as a problem, because I think, as we've agreed, it's not just something that happens at school. It's not something that starts there at all. It's something that has so many root problems. So I think the first thing is we need to make sure that our households are safer. As parents, you need to be more involved in the lives of your children. Make sure that they learn how to interact with other people better off, and that even when they go out into society, they understand how to portray themselves. Secondly, I think also schools can do so much better. The fact that schools normally have like just one guidance and counseling teacher, and it's normally someone who barely has any interest in the life of students, and you oftentimes find that you have like one guidance and counseling lesson in a week, which most people even bunk anyway. So it's basically a free period, and there's nothing that's done there, and every other teacher has no idea how to deal with children who are being bullied at all. I think firstly, all educators should in some capacity be trained in how to talk to students about bullying, students who have been bullied, and bullies themselves, because we can't just beat up bullies and hope that it's going to become better as an education system. And finally, I think I love the fact that you mentioned that we need to be able to do something as young people. We need to be more involved in this. This thing of just standing aside and watching while these other people get bullied needs to come to an end. Of course, we shouldn't put ourselves in situations that put us in danger just so that we save other people, because there's so many dangers that come within some of these gang wars that happen outside. But if it's a situation where you know you can help, say you're someone who's in upper 6 and someone who's in form 3 is bullying at form 1, you can easily intercept that and tell them to stop, and it always works out. So in situations where we can help, I think even as young people, we should be very willing to interact and stop all these problems.
I think if we are going to eradicate bullying and gang violence, everyone needs to stand at the forefront. It's not a matter of, you know, just us as young people or our parents themselves. It's everyone. The school system needs to step up. We need to step up. Our parents need to step up. The whole of society needs to step up. And like what you said, corporal punishment is not going to achieve anything. We need things like counseling being seriously implemented to actually eradicate things like bullying and gang violence. And I think we're more than capable of doing that. We are a unified country, right? I think we can eradicate bullying and gang violence. This shouldn't even be a topic of concern, honestly. But anyway, it was very lovely having this conversation with you guys, though it's a very tough and depressing conversation at this moment in time. I would like to appreciate your bravery to step up to the plate and actually come and talk about it. And hopefully you viewers at home do find something to take with you, you know, to help you in our society, to combat this evil in our society today. And together, I trust we will eradicate bullying and gang violence. Till the next one.
Come on.
Thank you.
Bye.